Chapter 5. The Face in the Web. The kitchen knife felt pathetically small in Liam's trembling hand as he crept through his transformed apartment, stepping carefully around the gaping hole in his floor. The blade caught the dim light filtering through his silk-shrouded window, throwing nervous shadows across the web-draped walls. He'd spent the last 3 hours searching every corner, every crevice, every space where something could hide. But the apartment yielded nothing. No sign of whatever had erupted from beneath his floor, no trace of the pale hands that had tried to drag him into the darkness below. "You won't find me," the voice whispered with amused patience. "I'm everywhere and nowhere. I'm in the spaces between your thoughts, in the pause between your heartbeats." The raised cords beneath Liam's skin pulsed in response to the voice, and he noticed with growing horror that they had spread further while he'd been focused on his search. The network of dark channels now reached his neck, creating intricate patterns that resembled the very web surrounding him. He pressed the knife's edge against one of the cords, wondering if he could cut them out. The blade barely dimpled his skin before a wave of agony shot through his entire body, dropping him to his knees. Not just pain, loss, as if he was trying to sever part of his soul. "Don't hurt yourself," the voice chided gently. "Those are gifts, beautiful gifts that connect us together." "I don't want your gifts," Lem gasped, struggling back to his feet. "I want you to leave me alone." Laughter rippled through the apartment, not cruel, but indulging, like a parent amused by a child's tantrum. The webs around him seemed to shiver in response, and somewhere in the walls, that familiar scratching resumed with renewed intensity. Liam continued his hunt, knife extended before him like a talisman. He checked behind his couch, inside his closet, even in the bathroom shower where thick strands of silk had begun forming what looked disturbingly like a cocoon large enough for a human body. Nothing. Whatever was tormenting him remained hidden, patient, watching from spaces his eyes couldn't penetrate. "You're getting warmer," the voice teased as he approached his bedroom. So close now. The bedroom had undergone the most dramatic transformation. What had once been a simple space with a bed and dresser now resembled the interior of some massive web. Silk stretched from floor to ceiling in complex geometric patterns, creating chambers within chambers, each one pulsing with that familiar inner light. But it was the ceiling that made Lem's breath catch in his throat. The entire surface was covered in a thick layer of webbing so dense it resembled fabric. And woven into that fabric, barely visible in the dim light, were shapes, patterns, almost like, "No," Liam whispered, raising the knife higher. "This isn't real." "Reality is what we make it," the voice replied. "Look closer, see what I've been preparing for you." Against every instinct screaming at him to run, Lem stepped deeper into the room. The shapes in the ceiling web became clearer as his eyes adjusted, not random patterns but deliberate forms. Body shapes, human silhouettes preserved in silk, dozens of them, all positioned as if sleeping peacefully. And in the center, larger and more detailed than the rest, was a space clearly meant for one more. "Your place," the voice explained with tender satisfaction. "I've been saving it just for you. Everyone who came before helped me learn, helped me understand what you would need. But you're special, Liam. You're the one I've been waiting for." The knife slipped from Liam's numb fingers, clattering to the floor. The sight of his designated resting place, woven with such care into the ceiling above his bed, broke something fundamental in his mind. This wasn't random predation. This was courtship, preparation, love in its most twisted form. "All those lonely nights," the voice continued, "all that pain, that guilt, that crushing sense of being lost and forgotten, I felt every moment of it. I was drawn to you across impossible distances because your suffering sang to me like the most beautiful music." Liam backed toward the door, but his legs felt like water. The dark cords under his skin were pulsing faster now, and with each pulse came waves of that seductive numbness. His vision blurred, and suddenly staying upright required tremendous effort. "You're tired," the voice observed with concern. "So tired of carrying all that weight? Let me help you rest." "Stay away from me," Lem managed, though the words came out slurred. I won't let you." And even as he spoke, his gaze was drawn back to the ceiling, to that perfectly grasped space waiting just for him. After 3 years of insomnia, 3 years of restless nights haunted by guilt and grief, the promise of eternal sleep was almost irresistible. "You've been fighting so long," the voice whispered. "Fighting the pain, fighting the memories, fighting the truth that you don't deserve to suffer like this. I can take it all away. I can give you the peace you've been seeking." Liam's knees buckled, and he collapsed onto his bed. The mattress felt different, softer, more welcoming, as if silk had been woven into the very fibers. Above him, the shapes in the ceiling seemed to shift and move, and he could swear he saw faces in some of them. Peaceful faces, eyes closed in eternal contentment. "They understand now," the voice explained. "All of them. The businessman who drank himself to sleep every night, the old woman who hadn't spoken to another human being in 5 years, the teenager who thought no one would miss him. They all found what they were really looking for." A knife lay on the floor just inches from Liam's dangling hand, but reaching for it seemed impossibly difficult. The numbness was spreading through his entire body now, and with it came a drowsiness deeper than any he'd ever experienced. "Sleep," the voice urged. "Just sleep. When you wake up, the pain will be gone forever." But as consciousness began to slip away, as a promise of endless rest whispered through his veins, Liam caught sight of something that snapped his eyes wide open. There, in the thick webbing directly above his bed, a face was forming. Not woven into the silk like the body shapes around it, but emerging from within the web itself. Pale skin materialized first, smooth and perfect as marble. Then features began to resolve: high cheekbones, a straight nose, lips curved in a gentle smile, and eyes, completely black eyes that held depths like midnight water, reflecting nothing and everything at once. The face was beautiful in the way that dangerous things were beautiful, perfectly grasped to attract and enthrall. It studied Liam with an expression of tender possession, like a collector admiring a particularly rare specimen. "Hello, my lonely one," the face whispered, and now the voice had a source, lips moving in perfect synchronization with the words that had been haunting his mind for days. "I've been waiting so long to show myself to you properly." Recognition hit Liam like a physical blow. This face, he'd seen it before. Not in person, but in dreams, nightmares that had plagued him since childhood, fragments of terror he'd thought were products of his own damaged psyche. But they hadn't been dreams at all. They'd been glimpses of something real, something that had been watching him, waiting for him, preparing for this moment when his pain would finally make him ready to accept what it offered. "You remember," the face said with delight. "Deep down, you've always known I was coming for you. Your parents' death wasn't an accident, Lahem. It was an invitation, a calling card to let you know that your real family was waiting." The words hit harder than any physical blow. Liam tried to sit up, to move, to scream, but his body no longer obeyed his commands. The numbness had spread too far, the dark cords beneath his skin pulsing with a rhythm that overrode his own heartbeat. "Shh," the face soothed, beginning to descend from the ceiling as if the web was lowering it down like an elevator. "Don't fight it anymore. You fought for so long, carried so much guilt for something that was never your fault. Let me take that burden from you." As the face drew closer, Liam could see more details emerging in the web around it. Shoulders, arms, a torso that seemed to stretch impossibly long. But also other things, additional limbs that weren't quite human, segments that looked more insect than man, and behind everything, a sense of vast size barely contained within the confines of his small bedroom. "My true form might frighten you at first," the face admitted with gentle understanding. "But you'll learn to love it, just as I've learned to love every broken piece of your beautiful soul." The face was close enough now that Liam could feel breath against his skin, cool and smelling of silk and old wood, and something sweetly organic that made his stomach turn. "Soon," it whispered, black eyes reflecting his terrified face like dark mirrors. "Very soon, you'll join the others. And finally, you'll understand what it means to belong to something greater than your pain." The last thing Lamb saw before the numbness claimed him completely was the face smiling with infinite patience, infinite love, infinite hunger, waiting to make him part of its web forever.